So we move then to the Dogs and the Tigers. Nice little segue there. Again, I'm going Tigers. You've gone Dogs. You've made some very suspect calls this week, my friend.
I have, and to be fair, you did convince me to go Broncos over Titans. As you mentioned, I did initially go Titans, reluctantly changed. Look, my thinking is this. The Dogs, for 15 minutes, looked appalling. 10 of those minutes, Brandon Wakeham wasn't on the field.
Mm-hmm.
Granted, it was against Cronulla, but they had direction for the first time in a very long time. And look, the Tigers for 60 minutes played really good football, but they're prone to that lapse that we saw last week. And it's hard to say because you don't want to hype him too much because of his injury history, and you feel like it could pop up again. But he has turned the Bulldogs into at least a watchable team that very well could on their day pull an upset off. Wakeham looked like a halfback. We know that he's a very good halfback. He proved it. Avarillo was coming into his own on the edge. Looked very dangerous, I thought, against Cronulla. Nothing needs to be said about Hopewadi with Tenny Zelezniak. Just two stalwarts of the Bulldogs, two very good players. And to be fair, they've got a pretty good hooker in Marshall King. Napa on his day is a fantastic. Elliott had a standout game. Josh Jackson, still one of the premier second rowers in the competition. The Tigers can be hit and miss on their flanks in terms of defense. There are days where you have the likes of Leilua and Garner who are fantastic. Sometimes Leilua can go missing. You can't discredit David Notfaluma. Just a freak of nature on the wing. But they've got Tommy Talau who's back from injury. I have no doubt they're going to test him in the air. I also went the Dogs based on the fact that the Tigers lost 3 of their starters. They lost Rob Jennings, they lost Alex Twal, they lost Zane Musgrove. Twal and Musgrove gave them a lot of go forward last week. This one I'm a little more confident on with the Dogs at 280 as well on the odds. I'm going with them on the head-to-head in the upset, but it depends on what Bulldogs team turns up.
Yeah. I mean, you look at Twal out, they bring in Taylor on the bench, big Elisha Taylor, not seen him for a little while. I'm looking forward to seeing him back in action. I think the Dogs look a better side for having Wakeham in over Lachlan Lewis. Wakeham just seemed to dictate play a little better. I mean, he had his little bit of a brain rush last week where he did shoot in 50-50 on whether that should have actually been a sin bidding. I mean, it was a physical tackle. It wasn't complete. He had every right to go for it. I think it just looked bad, and for whatever reason in this softer game, he had to go. So, but that's in the past. Yeah, as you mentioned, no Jennings, Tommy Talau comes in, but he looks pretty good as well. I don't see the problem being in the Tigers' forward backs. I see it being in the forwards, although Garner's looked good, but Clark, not a lot of game time this year. McIntyre only on game 2. Eisenhuth at 13. Iffy on. But the Dogs have got a little bit of talent coming back. Got Josh Jackson back. He's looked good. Run off to Amonga. Again, impressed me last week. It's the back line for the Dogs for me that really sort of confuses me week in, week out. You put Holland at 14 last week. You put him in the centre this week. You put Avarillo on the wing, but then you play him centre. Hopper White could well end up in the 13 shirt at this point. There's no point looking at what the Dogs have put on paper. They'll just throw it up in the air, see where it lands. But I do think that they are making big improvements. I can't discredit them. Wakeham looked good last week. Foreign, his running game. It's got to be said, when you take away the onus on Kieran Foran of being the dominant half, he just enjoys himself and he makes things happen. But I think the Dogs need a bit more structure. If you look at, I think 2 of their tries last week were just off the cuff. You had Elliott grubbering through, and just the Dogs were faster to react to it. And there was another try last week. I can't remember which one it was, but two off the cuff plays that just need a little bit more structure and need to stop relying on play breaking down. Because if you want to talk about players that take advantage of play breaking down, Harry Grant being phenomenal. The Tigers need to find a way to get him out of his contract at Storm. Their focus this season needs to be on finding a way of getting Grant away from the Storm and making him your long-term 9 and building a spine around Dewey, Brooks and Grant, and then whoever long-term fills the 6th shirt after Benji or Josh Reynolds, because I think Benji's been linked with Super League, but in that 20 minutes where the Tigers capitulated last week, that's where you need a Benji Marshall, someone that steadies the game, someone that takes the control, and that's what they missed. They missed him big time last week, and they almost fell apart.
Almost.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm going with the Dogs. I say it with a little more confidence than I do my Sharks tip. But yeah, you can't discredit Harry Grant. Reed Marnie, I think, gets the Origin call up this year, but he's going to have Harry Grant breathing down his neck. Potentially, you see Harry Grant this year in the 14 for the Maroons.
Definitive answer time. What scoreline are you thinking? You're leaning Dogs, I'm leaning Tigers. What's your score?
I'm leaning Dogs. I'm going to say 20-16. Harry Grant and Jake Avarillo, both anytime try scorers.
I'm going to go Tigers. I'm going to go plus. I'd even take them on a -6 handicap, even push it out as far as maybe even a -10. If you're feeling optimistic, but yeah, I see the Tigers winning this one. I don't see the Dogs holding out. So yeah, I'm gonna over 30 Tigers -8.